GoForThe2.com in with the Week 11 selections. Before I give you the picks for this Saturday, I'm dealing with some technical issues. It might be a shorter video this week, so bear with me. But this Saturday, November 9th, live from the Sports Grid studio inside the FanDuel Sportsbook at the Meadowlands, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., College football today. You could stream it, Xumo, channel 719, Xumo TV, channel 719, or sportsgrid.com, channel 719 on Xumo. College football today, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. All the picks on this video, top 25 battles, and some under-the-radar selections as the weekend progresses. Let's jump right into the selections for this Saturday. Also, keep in mind, I'm not going to pick the Alabama-LSU game. It'll be on Saturday's show, so tune in live for my selection. But I'm going to leave you with some key statistics and breakdowns for that battle to make your handicapping hopefully a little bit easier. So when you break it down, it's no surprise that Alabama's won 8 straight in the series by an average margin of victory of 15 points per game. They've won 8 straight since 2011. Last loss came in the regular season of 2010, where they lost that battle 6-3. So keep an eye out for that. But Alabama, dominant home statistics since 2016. They are 26-0 at home in Bryant-Denny against FBS and FCS opponents, and have won those games against FBS opponents by an average margin of victory of 33.3 points per game. More importantly, since 2016, Alabama, an amazing 31-1 since 2016 against SEC competition, and they've won those games by an average margin of victory of 27.4 points per game. Only loss came a couple seasons ago on the Plains in Auburn. The difference between Alabama's offense this year with Tua as opposed to the offenses the last couple of years in 2017 and 2018 respectively is this. Alabama this year, one game in which they rushed for over 200 yards. It came in the victory at home against New Mexico State, in which they pounded the rock for 318 yards. Compare that to the seasons of 2017 and 2018. They've rushed for over 200 during that span. 18 games. Think about that. 18 games, 9 games almost per game per season in 2017 and 2018 respectively. The team was 17-1 straight up in those ball games, and they're going up against a defense in LSU this year that is holding opposing offenses to 97 rushing yards per game, only 2.9 yards per carry, and has only given up 5 rushing touchdowns. But a big blow to LSU today, November 4th. Leading sack leader Michael Divinity Jr. gone, left the team for personal reasons. How will that affect the LSU defense heading into this battle? So keep an eye out for that. I'll give you my selection Saturday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern this coming weekend on College Football Today. Let's jump right into the Big Ten battle, Penn State and Minnesota. Penn State has won 5 of the last 6. They won last year in Happy Valley by a score of 29-26 in overtime due to the athleticism of Trace McSorley. He led a fourth quarter comeback, made plays outside the pocket to give the Nittany Lions the victory. Now Penn State goes on the road. There's expected possible snow showers in the forecast, so keep an eye out for that. When you look at Minnesota, blue-collar team, they're pounding the rock for 204 rushing yards per game, only giving up 117 rushing yards on the ground. But Minnesota reminds me of the 2015 Iowa team that made it to the Big Ten championship against Michigan State. They have 3 complementary running backs, Ibrahim, Rodney Smith, and Shannon Brooks, that can be utilized in the short to intermediate passing game and takes pressure off the offensive line and keeps the offense in manageable third down situations for quarterback Tanner Morgan. Tanner Morgan's a solid quarterback, completing over 60% of his passes, 18 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. They remind me of that offense in Iowa 4 seasons ago, which they had 3 running backs, LaShawn Daniels, Akram Wadley, and Jordan Canzeri, and that's why they made it to the Big Ten championship. I'm calling for the upset here. I like the defense of Minnesota, giving up 117 rushing yards per game, holding opposing offenses to 38% on third down conversions, and more importantly, forcing turnovers, +5 in turnover margin in this matchup. Think Minnesota strikes the upset over Penn State this coming weekend. Another battle in the Big Ten, Ohio State coming out of a bye week to face Maryland. Ohio State's won 5 straight in the series by an average margin of victory of 31.4 points per game. This line opened up at 42.5. It's up to 44. Maryland pushed Ohio State to the limit last year as a 17.5-point underdog, lost that ball game by 1 point. Here's the thing to keep an eye out. I've always said bye weeks can either be beneficial or detrimental to a team depending upon offense and defensive consistency. When you have an offense that's hitting on all cylinders, especially later in the year, that could be a detriment in terms of a bye week. This is an offense in Ohio State hitting on all cylinders, rushing for 284 yards on the ground, and has a quarterback in Justin Fields that has accounted for 30 total touchdowns. When you look at last week's game for Maryland, they allowed 155 rushing yards per game to Michigan, and could they be worn down in this battle? They're sitting at 3-6 overall and need to win out in order to become bowl eligible. Here's a factor why I'm taking the points in this ballgame. Ohio State since 2015, just 15-17 overall against the number as a home favorite. Ohio State wins anywhere from 28 to 35 points, but look for Maryland to utilize freshman quarterback Lance Legendre, I might have said that wrong, but number 4, he was utilized in RPOs at the end of the ball game. I look for Loxley to utilize him in this offense at some point to sustain drives and keep the football on the ground to keep Justin Fields on the sidelines, and Maryland covers this number this coming weekend on the road in Columbus. Another big battle takes place in the SEC, Georgia, Missouri. Georgia with a big victory over Florida last week. Didn't come easy, but they held Florida to less than 100 yards rushing, and more importantly, 2 of 9 on third down conversions. On the flip side, you have a Missouri team, losers of 2 straight, and is coming out of a bye week. The health of Kelly Bryant's a concern. As long as he plays, I like Missouri in this ballgame. Georgia's won 5 straight in the series by an average margin of victory of 15.4 points per game. Picked up this victory last year as a 14.5-point favorite by 14 points on the road in Columbia. But here's another factor why I like Missouri. Rush defense giving up 136 rushing yards per game, only 144 passing yards per game. Think they could be in this ballgame from start to finish, force Jake Fromm into mistakes. Missouri covers this 17.5-point number on the road in Athens Saturday night. Let's keep it in the SEC. Big battle between Tennessee and Kentucky. Tennessee has won 6 of the last 7 in the series. Picked this up last year by a score of 24-7. Last 2 games for Tennessee, they've held UAB and South Carolina under 100 yards rushing. You have a UK offense that's one-dimensional with a wide receiver, Lynn Bowden Jr., as the quarterback. Sawyer Smith completing less than 50% of his passes. They're only converting 33% as an offense for UK. Tennessee fighting to become bowl eligible at 4-5. They need to win 2 of the last 3. They get it done on the road in Lexington this coming weekend. Let's keep it in the ACC. Miami against Louisville. Miami with a dominant effort, 9 total sacks over Florida State, held Florida State to 31 rushing yards and 0.7 yards per rush, includes sacks as well. Louisville coming out of a bye week after the win over Virginia. But more importantly, you look at Louisville, they've won 3 straight in the series. Last played a game against each other in 2014. I'm going with the front 7 of Miami. The consistent defense, in my opinion, is the Hurricanes. They stepped up. Look for them to blitz those quarterbacks of Cunningham and Conley in this matchup. Think they put pressure on the offensive line for Louisville, and Miami covers this number at home against the Cardinals anywhere from 14 points or more in that battle. Another Big 12 battle takes place, Texas and Kansas State. Texas has dominated the series in recent years. They've won 3 of the last 5 by an average margin of victory of 8.3 points per game and picked up this victory over the last couple of years by a total of 11 points. Kansas State, back-to-back road games. Texas coming out of a bye. Texas has the speed to challenge Kansas State over the top. Even though Kansas State looked good in back-to-back weeks, they do not match up well against the speed of the Longhorns. Keep in mind as well, Kansas State hasn't generated a pass rush. Neither is Texas, but they have better athletes, a mobile quarterback in Sam Ehlinger that has passed for 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Think they can run the football and, more importantly, make Skylar Thompson in that offense one-dimensional. Texas with a dominant home win, 14 points or more over the Wildcats in that matchup. Let's keep it in the Big 12. Oklahoma, Iowa State. Iowa State losers Oklahoma has won 4 of the last 5 in the series. Iowa State picked up this victory 2 seasons ago in Norman against Baker Mayfield. Lost that battle last year in Ames by 10 points. Oklahoma coming out of a bye week. You got Iowa State coming out of a bye week, but I like the physicality of the offense and defensive lines with Matt Campbell as an underdog. He has a quarterback in Brock Purdy completing over 65% of his passes. He has thrown for 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. This is an Iowa State offense averaging 328 passing yards per game, holding opposing offenses to only 117 rushing yards on the ground. To me, that's the difference. It's a primetime game. I like Iowa State to be in this ballgame from start to finish. Don't know if they strike the upset, but they cover this 14.5-point number Saturday night in Norman. Love Iowa State coming out of a bye week, especially they've covered 2 straight against Oklahoma in the series. We're just getting started. Stay with me all season long. Follow the show this coming Saturday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I'm sorry it's an abbreviated video. Have some audio difficulties and video as well, but catch all the selections this coming Saturday. College football today. College football is the best. I just love talking about it. Have a great weekend, everyone.